I really want to say the British Museum, but I know I'm going to get flack for it.
Don't. It has a huge collection.
I think it's maybe where some of the things in there are sourced, but I think my favorite experience was there because so many meaningful artifacts that I've known about my entire life I actually saw firsthand for the first time for free.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, I still get goosebumps thinking about it.
Like seeing the Rosetta Stone.
I was just about to say the Rosetta Stone. I'm like, oh, it's real.
It was in my
there it is.
6th grade textbook. Holy crap.
Yeah, exactly. It's right there in front of me.
The one thing I think is shocking is there's not really like ropes across stuff either.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I went to the British Museum, there was one of the statues from Egypt. There was just some kid running his hand on the whole thing. It says don't touch, but there was no one to enforce it.
I think the culture here, I don't know. I think they're just kind of expecting people to be a bit more orderly.
Yeah.
You know?
He was still a kid.
You know, when you're a kid, a little harder to do that, but...
I did say, it says not to touch. And he just looked me dead in the eyes and just kept going. I was like,
I think you
knew. Okay, we'll have fun.
Goodness.
Have you been to the Victoria and Albert Museum?
Haven't hit there yet, no.
It is.
Is it good?
It's beautiful, yeah. It's, I've gone once and spent all day there. I still didn't see everything.
Wow.
But I think what's really interesting is out front in the concrete, there's all these bullet holes still. And you might have noticed them around town and stuff. You look at it, you may not realize they're bullet holes at first in the stone, and that's from the Blitz during World War II.
Wow.
But the Victoria and Albert Museum have a plaque out front explaining why they don't want to cover it, that people need to see like the truth of what happened and not forget, which I mean, nothing lasts that long in America, even if it had like some significance. They'd be like, but what about we put a strip mall over that?
That's right.
But when you realize that and you start looking throughout town and you can actually, so up there where the planetarium is at the top, there's a statue given by the Canadians. You can see all the holes in that one because that one, this area was attacked heavily during the Blitz too. And it just, and another thing you'll notice, some of the older brick buildings, if you see on the side where like the brick changes, it was repaired after the Blitz. We really like, wow.
It's important to keep that stuff around. I'm glad they did that because that's what history is all about. It's what culture is all about. It's appreciating, not covering it up, you know?
Yeah, and not forgetting it.
Exactly.
Because if you forget, doomed to relive it. But it is surreal when you see those, you know, very intense. Like I can't imagine being here during the Blitz. Like what it must actually, because it doesn't look like you can see it happen today.
You can't really envision it, no.
No. And then you see those pictures of people like in the Greenwich footpath, or in like different subway tunnels going to school, and you know, there was people like our grandparents' age being able to pull through and support each other.
It's a very different world.
Yeah. Have you made it up to Scotland yet?
I did once.
Yeah?
It's in Edinburgh for like 2 days, 3 days last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Oh, it was awesome.
It's stunning.
Oh gosh.
That view from that castle.
Oh my goodness.
Worst castles to live in, I guess.
The history there was crazy. I think the oldest church in all of the UK is up there. I want to say it was Margaret's or St. Margaret's or something. And it was this small, have you been?
It was on my list to do while I was there, but I didn't get to. I spent so long in the castle and only had a day there.
Totally fair. It's a small little chapel. Like,
Was it the one in the castle at the top?
I think.
Oh, okay, I did do that one then.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Because there's another one nearby at the bottom that I didn't make it to.
I'm not sure which one it was.
I think it is the one up at in the castle grounds, surrounded by everything.
All I know is that if your name is Margaret, you can have like a free wedding there. So people will change. I heard, again, fact check this, but I heard that people will change their name to Margaret, do their free wedding, and then change it back. Because you can do it for free. I don't know if...
Paperwork.
It's a bit of paperwork if you ask me, but hey, if your name's Margaret and you like history.
This chapel's it's a very small...
It's very little. I had to duck half of my height just to get in there, but...
Only maybe 5 guests for your wedding.
You're a bit skint and don't have a lot of family and your name's Margaret.
You should start a company that does just this. I didn't know that about the market part of it, though.
Yeah.
But when I was at the castle too, it made me. The reason I thought about the castle after the Blitz, they had a plaque outside too that I didn't realize that castle had gotten attacked during the Blitz too, because you couldn't tell again now, like everything it's been through. But I learned too when I was there that it's built on the caldera of an exploded volcano that's 250 million years old. So when you look at the base stone, why it's black, they built into like what was coming out of the ground.
Why would they do that?
I mean, volcanic stones like really good and supportive.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and it was 250 million old volcano. It wasn't like anyone's.
It wasn't active or anything.
It was like land before time.
I see. I see.
Yeah,
Still very cool.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the stone when you see the buildings there are like black because it has very heavy volcanic ash in the ground there.
That's awesome.
It's like beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, I liked Edinburgh too. Have you ever been to the Fringe Festival?
Mm-mm.
Same. I really wanna go.
Heard really good things though. It's funny. It's a comedy thing, right?
Yeah, comedy, theater, a little bit of like just everything
arts.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had friends go out there from LA to do performance stuff. I've never. Now it's like,
Wow.
well, it's right there. I feel like I should.
You kind of have to.
Yeah,
At least
go
at some
up there.
point.
Did you go up there for a holiday or
Yeah, it's for a holiday.
holiday?
Yeah. So.
Are there any things, places in England that you haven't seen yet that you want to see?
The Cotswolds, I've heard, are really nice. The Lake District. I'm a big sucker for just being outside. Natural beauty, things like that.
Do you do any camping?
I used to do a lot of camping when I was younger, so something I'd love to get back into.
I've seen some videos where people do camping in like Norway and stuff like that. Have you been to mainland Europe? I've only been once. I have nothing to. I want to see more. I haven't gone over there yet.
Yeah. I've been to Germany and Italy and France, but not the rest of it.
Yeah.
But those, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just an opportunity waiting to happen.
And so much closer. I think when you come here and you see how long those flights are, and then also how cheap it is to fly.
Oh, it's so affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I just got back from a week-long holiday in Italy last week, and the flights were like a quarter or less than what it would be to fly from Chicago, and it's I think I saw a flight for, I want to say, maybe 12 pounds to Ireland from here.
12 pounds?
12 pounds.
I believe it. I got a flight to Amsterdam. It was €75 round trip.
Round trip.
Round trip. It was EasyJet, like 2024 October, and I got it a week before, and it was €75 round trip.
Oh my Lord.
And I was like, that's like how much gas to get across LA.
It's unheard of, the prices for flights to Europe.
Yeah, the flight from LA to Kentucky, and I'd still have to be 2 hours from my hometown because it's the middle of nowhere. I'd have to fly to Nashville or Louisville, and they were never cheaper than like $650, $700. And it's like, well, the flight to England's like $800. Why would I? No offense, Kentucky, but why would I go back to Kentucky if I could just fly to another country?
You've got a great point.
Yeah, and it's easier to get your friends to meet you in a bigger, fun city.
That's right.
Than like, let's meet in Oklahoma City halfway. We'll watch a tornado together. Did you know that they have more tornadoes per mile here than in the States?
What?
It's a random fact.
There's no way.
They're usually only EF0s or EF1s, but technically
But technically a tornado still.
Yeah, I did a video
Really?
on the weather because you know how much they love to talk about the weather.
You have to.
And I got that fact from a couple people and I looked it up. It is true.
Wow.
Yeah. But if you think about it being an island, it's like one side is the cool Nordic Ocean, and then you have the Atlantic, so you got a little warmer water. That's exactly what makes tornadoes really
It's a
big in
breeding
the
ground
States.
for that.
Yeah, it's just like tiny scale. for
really
that.
small.
Yeah.
It's almost adorable.
So do you have any? You were saying you want to get into doing long form more. Do you have any specific things that you would like to shoot or that you would like to convey to people watching? Do you like doing the comedy skits, or you want to talk more about like what your experience is being here? Yeah,
I would say for my long form videos, I talk a lot about my experience here and sort of in a way that helps British people understand how an American perceives life here, which I just think is educational and interesting. But it's also sort of an educational lesson for Americans too, because ever since I started living here, nothing grinds my gears more than seeing things that are not true about this place said as common fact back home.
Yeah.
And that's not something I ever used to really care about, but just knowing different, I almost feel like I have kind of a duty as like a social media presence to tell the truth in a way.
Yeah.
So so there's that aspect of it, but I also feel like I don't know everything, you know, and you never, maybe you never feel like you really do when you live in a different country.
There's so much.
I know you're probably going through this too, but I'm learning hundreds of new things just all of the time, like every week. I could write a book on everything new you learn, if you're willing to learn, if your eyes are open enough and your ears are open enough. There's constantly stuff to learn. So there's videos I want to make just going all across the UK and just learning all that there is to learn and finding out all there is to find out. It just feels like a constant adventure these days.
I mean, it's over 1,000 years of like basically the same kind of government that you can recognize back to the Romans. Like I feel like you go everywhere and it'd still take multiple lifetimes to absorb all the history here, and it never gets old. It's so exciting. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions that Americans have about the UK?
Biggest misconceptions.
You could say biggest misconception socially. We already did the food one. Yeah, what would you say, like, biggest misconceptions socially as a culture that Americans don't understand or have wrong about the UK?
I think, I know something at least I thought before is that British people are very like posh. Like they're very like kind of emotionless and posh. Like they're all just kind of, not a whole lot of range of expression, I think, and,
like
and they
very
all kind
even
of
tone.
Yeah, kind of boring. And
Oh,
I'll
really?
go as far to say that. I'll be daring. I'll say we thought British people were boring. But have you been in a pub during a football match?
It is so fun.
Oh my Lord! It is just. I find that that's just not true. What I have learned is that I think British people are just not as over the top as we are, and they portray the way they feel about things with much more elegance than we do. It's just much more deliberate, and that's just something I've come to appreciate. You know, I think it's a beautiful art form in its own sort of way to handle the delivery of how you come off and the things you say and everything. Everything just kind of has a little bit of nuance to it, and it's kind of nice. You know, you're not like a loud American just kind of blabbering the first thing that comes into your head. It's all got a bit. Yeah, it's thoughtful. That's what it is. Yeah. And I really appreciate that. That's a big misconception I personally had.
Yeah. So. No, I could see that absolutely. Like, I would almost say like the way Brits are projected in America is through film, through everything. I mean, Bond is a great example too. It's like stoic.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Stoic.
Yeah, and they are really into stoicism. Like actually
live that out. It's true.
Yeah, and so that's what makes those like when they burn you like with an insult, but you don't even realize you're being insulted, and then they didn't say anything else. They sat there forever, then they just say one thing and walk away, and you're like, I think that hurt.
I think they offended me. I'm not sure.
But also, I'm so impressed. I'm not even offended.
I'm not even mad.
Right? So being here during the World Cup, not the last game, because it was like everyone just went silent after they lost the last time. But was it the Saturday before when they were playing Norway?
Yeah.
Did you go out to a pub for that game?
I didn't go out to a pub for that game. I did go out to the one before, which was against Mexico, I think.
Yeah.
Because we just had the stakes against us. Like in England, everyone was saying the stadium has a really high altitude, and that Team Mexico hadn't lost in like 58 games, and everybody thought
it was done for.
We're cooked, like it's over, and then they just clobbered them. England just clobbered them, and Just like didn't even bother him. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was probably the most excited I've ever seen English people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is. It is really exciting when you're at that pub because everyone's just like very, very quiet until like it's like oh, and then like a goal, and it's just like the world explodes all at once. Everyone's super excited.
it's just chaos, but in the best way.
Yeah. Were you really into sports in the States?
Not particularly. I wasn't.
Same.
I wasn't particularly into. I just I don't know, the sports culture. I just never really got into it.
It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't
No.
feel like as inclusive. It definitely doesn't feel like a community event.
That is the thing that got me into football here, and well, really through the World Cup. I think was just it was really nice seeing community come together.
Yeah. So was the World Cup really like your first like? Okay, I think I'm maybe into sports now.
I've been thinking that over the last several weeks. Like, am I a sports guy now?
Who am I?
I know.
Do I
like,
get a jersey now?
I know. I've like, should I look up my local team and like go to a game and cheer for them and stuff? Like,
I think you have to.
I feel the calling now.
I still have not picked a team. Been trying to, but I just like some of their names, and I don't think that's the way I'm supposed to pick. But some of them are so funny that it's hard not to pick based on that. Like Sheffield Wednesdays. Did you know that's the name of a team?
Wednesdays.
Sheffield
the day
Wednesdays.
of the week.
They used to only play on Wednesdays. Now they play any day. But that is the name of the team.
Okay.
And then West Ham. It just sounds funny. It makes
gotta
me think
love
of. Did you ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Oh, it makes me think of like Danny DeVito with a rum ham. That's what I feel like West Ham should be. And it's also more east than that. But have you watched any other sports like cricket or rugby?
I've seen some rugby. It kind of looks like our American football, just without all the pads.
Yeah,
So-
scarier,
Yeah.
but not as much like timeout. Like
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's what. Not that I was really into sports in the States, but the NFL, it's like American football games last like 8 hours of nothing.
Yeah, it's like a minute and a half of actual like gameplay. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
What are you there for?
And tickets are like $600 for nosebleeds. You're like, this isn't a
like it.
community thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the same. Not as enjoyable to me anyway.
Have you ever, you know about like the soccer hooligan stuff here? Have you ever heard about the soccer hooligans?
Soccer hooligans.
Yeah, so it used to be I guess a pretty big problem. There's even a movie from the late 90s about it, but they used to get in like crazy fights after games.
Really?
Like if your team didn't win or somebody's like talking smack, they'd go out and they would be in like huge, like Gangs of New York 1800 style like fights that they had to pass a bunch of laws about. I guess that's why you can't drink up until a certain point sometimes at certain stadiums and stuff. I'll send you a link to the movie because it's a pretty.
Sounds like they
I
took
was
it
like-
pretty personally.
But as you were saying, they're so reserved and whatnot. It's like hard to picture. But after you're at a pub at a game, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I can see where it could come
Yeah, maybe some alcohol will change that.
from. Your team doesn't win. Very passionate about it. This can go very bad.
Passionate's a good word.
It is fun that there's so many teams and small, like in the States you have like maybe one team per state. But here you can quite literally find one that's an easy, questionably walking distance from you at times. Have you gone to any concerts here yet?
I've gone to a few concerts. One at the O2 Academy in Brixton, and one at Wembley, or the Wembley Arena. Not the stadium, the arena next to it. But
Who did you see?
I saw a band called The Midnight in Brixton and Pierce the Veil at Wembley Arena, and both were just awesome. Just energy was just
I feel like also concert tickets here are much cheaper.
much more affordable.
Like everything. I feel like the cost of everything, but concerts really stick out to me going to them
Oh,
here.
absolutely. My girlfriend and I were looking at concerts to go to when we visit the U.S., and we just decided not to go to any because they're like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
for like general admission seats, and or standing, and I'm like, that's not worth it. Like, we love the band, but it didn't used to be that way is
Yeah.
another thing too. Whereas how it used to be seems like it still kind of is here. Like, you can afford to buy some concert tickets for some decent seats and actually have a great time.
I feel like,
worth the money.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things, the way you described it, exactly how I feel, that the good things that America used to be like in certain ways, like the concert tickets, the availability of stuff, like the sense of community, even sometimes just the music when you go into certain places feels like late 90s pop music, and it makes me so
glad
happy.
I'm not the only one that feels like that. I just it's just so it brings me back to a good time. You know, a
Yeah.
happy time.
Like a peaceful, I don't know, just a simpler time, as they say.
Things used to be more affordable and more community oriented. And it feels like it's still that way here, which is really nice.
It feels like the best part of the 90s, but if the technology kept developing.
Yes.
Because like you say, we can tap in here, but like still have to buy cards at the, like, make that make sense. I'm hearing Spice Girls on the radio, but I'm in the future.
Did I just time travel?
Have you gone into, right behind us, the Canary Wharf much?
Yeah, I've been there a few times. I have to say, going to Canary Wharf is a weird experience because it feels like I'm walking in a mini Chicago.
Oh, really?
Oh, all the tall buildings, a lot of it's banking,
Yeah.
wide streets, restaurants, and places just to do things sprinkled around a river. That's Chicago. That's
actually a really good point.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'm just walking down there like a month or two ago with some friends, and I'm like,
Where am I at?
how did I get here? Am I back home?
Is there any deep dish?
Oh God, I wish there was. There's actually a deep dish place in Greenwich here, in the old town. Well, they're trying to do deep dish.
I was going to ask, yeah.
It's good. It's a good effort, is what I would say. But yeah.
Is there any place here, I mean, is that the only one you found that even does deep dish? It's not something I see often.
It's the only
here.
one I found that does it. I'm sure that there's
wow.
more that do it or claim to do it,
But it's never quite right.
it's not quite there. But you know, it makes me feel a little at home that
Yeah.
somewhere, you know, so far away knows about it and is trying. You know,
They're
It
thinking
feels-
of you.
You think?
Yeah, they're like, we're going to bring a little piece of home. We're going to try.
You're a real one, Japes. Not a sponsor, but you're a real one.
What if you want to give us a slice? I think Canary Wharf is very surreal to be in because everything is so much older around that when you're in it, it kind of feels like, I know they filmed part of Star Trek there, but it very much feels like that or like Mass Effect in some scenes. You're like, where am I at?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I love living in London, and you don't just see it in London. You'll see it in a lot of the big cities in the UK, but London especially. Canary Wharf Bank is another borough that comes to mind where you will stand in it and see all this modern architecture and modern buildings and stuff, but you just change what direction you're facing, and you see like 700-year-old, 800-year-old like churches and buildings, and it's like it's confusing at first, and then you just realize how amazing it is that such
Love it.
modernity is being brought into a place with so many old buildings and such a rich history.
Yeah, I love that they try their best to keep everything. And I have seen some like news articles. Have you been to York?
No, it's somewhere on my list.
It's stunning.
Is it as good as I hear?
It is. I went in February and stayed for like 5 days. I want to live in York now.
Nice.
So bad. It's like actually less than half the price of London, but it's so condensed and very easy to get around. And some people were telling me during the 90s it was the club scene capital.
Was it?
Which is crazy to picture when you go there because it was an old Roman fort, and then like raves inside of old churches and stuff. Like that must have been amazing to experience. Like trippy, but it is stunningly beautiful. But there's an area called the Shambles, which isn't Diagon Alley, but it gets credited a lot. But she said that she never even went to York. There's so many little of those like where they jetty out medieval buildings, so the second level goes out. But the neighborhood, they tore most of it down in the early 1900s because they voted to like build new buildings, and they'd already been there for like hundreds, like
Wow.
600 years. And then the citizens of the city stepped in and they're like, please stop.
Don't do that.
Can you just like maintain some of it? Because it's when you see it, it's like just nothing like it. But But that, yeah, in the 1900s and stuff, they were still trying to tear down a lot of the old buildings until people stepped in. And then some of them did get demolished, like that. There's a lot of parts of Westminster as well that were few areas left of medieval London because of the Great Fire. A lot of it was didn't quite make it, and got tore down to like expand the road. And as an American, it's just hard. Everything gets turned over so fast. But when something's like 600 years old, you're like, what? Why would you?
Oh, it just breaks your heart.
Yeah, it made it this long for a road. You don't need that road.
You know, it's nice to see the people of the UK. They care about that stuff.
Very much.
You know, yeah, they'll fight for it.
Yeah, we'll help you.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. You want to keep these beautiful buildings. So what would be, I'm not sure how your channel is, but the majority of my audience is actually English.
Yeah.
Same?
Yeah, definitely the vast majority. So like definitely over 95%.
I was kind of surprised when that, I mean, it makes sense with time posting, like posting when people are awake here and asleep in the States. But it has been really interesting, I think, in terms of comment nature. Do you find, I find the comments from Brits to be much kinder.
Kinder, yeah.
Like there's fewer, I feel like the internet in America, I know it's the World Wide Web, but they feel very angry.
Yeah. Well,
or not your same experience. I know it's not been everyone's experience.
No, I know what you're saying. I think that there's a sort of inherent appreciation for being a foreigner in someone's country that's watching the video. Like a kind of an inherent appreciation of just really being here at all and having anything to say about it. So they might be more inclined to say something nice. But on the other hand, too, I think there's just something about American internet culture that's just kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Like a lot more commonly, and it's really refreshing to get comments that are actually like kind of nice and kind and constructive, and a lot of the ideas that I get for videos are from my comments.
Yeah.
Like they're just so helpful, you know, when they're not taking the piss, but you know, get that a lot too. But you know, I take that as a nice thing now. But yeah, really encouraging, really nice.
Yeah, I feel like even when they are, you know, like I said, it's still the internet. It's not perfect. And even when someone is trying to be mean, it goes back to that it's so cleverly done. Whereas in the States, it would look like, I don't know, someone like just goes like this on the keyboard with all the curse words. And it's like not even clever. You're like,
yeah, like, oh, you can
you're like,
do better
you're
than
fat
that.
and ugly. It's like, oh no, how shall I live?
I'm so offended.
When they hear, they're just like, you're like a monster for not using the knife when you're cutting your plate. Like, oh no.
A legitimate criticism, oh no.
I know, I feel so called out. Was that something you had to get used to here, to always using the fork and the knife?
I will probably never forget the first time I got berated online for not facing my knife the correct way on the plate when I was done. Like I did everything right, but the knife it was flipped the wrong way, but everything was in the right position. And oh my goodness, half the comments were like, come on, man, like, you absolute filthy pig. I'm like, it's just a knife.
I didn't even know there was an incorrect direction, so now I'm like, oh my God, how many times have I missed that?
Now, I'm not saying everybody, you know, is like that, you know. I think the British tend to be a little bit more nitpicky. I think they tend to be a little bit more pedantic about things by nature, but you know, you just kind of brush it off and learn from it. I think, you know, it's obviously having your knife facing the right way is going to cause wars and famines, and
It has before.
you know, shame
sure.
on us. You know, we should know better.
So have you done many food videos? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
That used to be my main thing. The very first video I ever made was trying a meal deal for the first time.
I did see that, yeah.
And I made a whole series out of it. I think I made maybe 20 or 30 videos just trying different combinations of meal deals.
Meal deal's amazing.
I mean, we don't have anything like it in the States.
No.
Or at least not Chicago.
No,
you know?
not at supermarkets, not like that. Because we call them grocery stores, but the super.
Right,
So
right.
like, but yeah, there's nothing like a meal deal. There might be a hot food or a cold food area, but it's never about getting a deal. Like it'll be just as expensive as going to like Subway or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The meal deal excites me every time too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I enjoy a good meal deal.
But I did a beans on toast video, and that's when I discovered the fork and knife.
I see.
I had no idea that would be what was going on, and all the comments were just like, too many beans for one. And I was like, I don't know the rules.
Yeah, that's any time I do a food video now, I'm like ready for.
How'd I screw this up?
That's all I'm thinking about is like, I just make the video. Just make the video and figure out what you did wrong and try again another time.
I thought about redoing the beans and toast video, but using chopsticks, because I just like using chopsticks all the time home anyway. And people
That
would
is diabolical.
I think people would die if I did.
I made a video once where I tried beans on toast and I used an untoasted slice of bread.
Monster.
I buttered it with just a chunk of butter right in the middle, didn't spread it, and I washed the beans in like a colander. I was just tired of the criticism, so I just did everything wrong on purpose. It's one of my like best performing videos, but for all the wrong reasons.
Right, it's like the lady who microwaved her tea in the States. I still don't believe that, but I don't know. You know, I've never seen anyone do that, but at the same time, she seemed like it was real.
Yeah.
And I could see people, we've all like microwaved a cup of hot water before, but not the tea bag at the same time.
No, it's just sacrilege at that point.
Yeah, the fork and knife thing, I'll probably never get that right either. And
Well,
I'll be put in the Tower of London by the end of it, which is okay. That
probably
sounds
the
fun.
both of us, yeah.
Like, whenever everything turns against Americans here, they're like, who knows how to use a knife? These people don't. They must go.
Line up. Never thought I'd be trauma bonding with a fellow American over utensils. I just have to say this is a first for me, so thanks.
So also I'm still unsure about this. At restaurants, I think as Americans, we naturally stack all our plates for the servers to take. And I've heard mixed on if that's seen as rude to do or not. Have you heard anything about this yet?
I've been discouraged from doing it,
Yeah.
and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just wanted to be helpful,
Yeah.
make their lives a little bit easier, you know? I've been discouraged from doing it. Though. It makes it seem like I'm trying to do their work for them or something, making them look bad or something.
Is that?
I'm just.
I've wondered the rules. Like, how did you ever wait tables in the States or anything?
I didn't wait tables, but I'm someone who, if I can make a server's life a little easier, I'll do it, you know?
Yeah, I did in college, so like I would have always
So,
appreciated.
you get it, yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear from a server here. Are you mad when people stack plates? Do you think that's rude? Because it could be just everyone else's opinion, but the server might be like, no, thank you. It like makes everything easier.
It's true.
So just know when you see Americans doing that, we're not trying to say we do your job for you or you're not doing it.
Not making you look bad or nothing.
We're just trying to be helpful. The same way when we ask, how are you? Apparently people hate that.
Yeah, yeah.
They hate it, or have a nice day. It's like, but I do want you to have a nice day.
But I mean that. I mean that. I had such a hard time with "you all right" as.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh man, because I'm that American sort of softy person. Like someone asked me that, and I'm like, I'll tell you, do not do that.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was rhetorical for so long, and my cousin would say that to me. Well, so my cousins here are actually my husband's cousins, but they've already said, like, Josh and I have been together for like almost 11 years now, but they're like, if he ever leaves, like, we're keeping you. And they're all women my age, so they've just like made me feel like a third sister for them.
Aww.
But the "you all right" thing, I'd be like, yeah, why? Does something not look all right? Like, am I okay? Do I look stressed?
Is everything okay? Exactly.
Yeah. She's like, what? I'm like, I don't know, I'm sorry.
See, I thought it was just, oh man, these British are just very caring people. Am I all right?
Yeah, they're making fun of us for asking how are you, but they're asking if I'm all right. It seems fair.
I know.
I do feel like there's a lot of sayings where people, like, they make fun of the way we say things, but then, like butter. We say butter, yeah, it has two T's, but we use the flap D sound. Hello, have you heard how they say water? We should just instead of making fun of each other, help each other in each other's flaws.
Just got to make a joke out of it first, it seems here, you know?
Sneak it in.
But,
Or how they call vacuuming hoovering.
oh, I was so confused about that.
So confused too.
Do you remember the first time you heard someone tell you what throwing a wobbly is, or throwing a wobble?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Point proven. It means throwing a tantrum.
Throwing a wobble. That sounds so cute though.
Yeah, or having a wobbly, or throwing a wobbly. Like
Oh.
having yeah, that sounds like a nice thing. Like can I join? Like I want to have a little wobbly. Yeah.
Is that just like a dance move?
Yeah. No, it's actually throwing a tantrum.
Oh, that doesn't even sound. I have not heard that.
Where was I supposed to learn that before I came here?
I've never seen that on a cheat guide for
No.
slang or nothing. Yeah, I just picture the wobbles. Although, have you heard about the Wimbledon wobbles? I think that's what they're called.
What's that?
There's like an urban legend that in Wimbledon and the park, there's these like best described as puppets from the Muppets kind of looking things, or the fries from the McDonald's in the 90s, like the little creatures that supposedly live in the woods and in the Wimbledon. They're called the Wimbledon wobbles, and they'll come out in the park.
Whoa.
And there's even, if you take the above ground train that direction from like Vauxhall, there's someone spray painted on the back of a building the Wimbledon wobbles and like painted them out and stuff. It's a pretty cute little like
That's awesome.
urban tale.
I love learning that stuff about the UK, because it's always it's always got a story to it, but it's like whimsy, you know. It's just got this air. I think just being in the UK in general has kind of an air
A whimsy to
of
it.
whimsy. You know, there's always just the pursuit of whimsy in some things.
And there's a Totnes Castle that supposedly has giant rabbits that live underneath that are like 8 foot tall that will come out.
It doesn't sound terrifying at all.
No, but apparently they will eat you, like, because it's still like the accurate fairy tales where they're like a little scary at the end of
Right.
it. Okay, so I will wrap this up since the sun is probably gonna bake us. Maybe convince you to go get a shandy for the first time. I don't know. We'll see how you feel about that. It's been very, like, the clowns are starting to burn away, and
That's
then
true.
we'll burn away shortly too. Okay, since most of our followers are British, same as me, what would be one piece of advice you would give them to try to understand Americans better, that they're not trying to be rude? You know, like we're saying that, how are you doing, where they like misunderstand that. And yeah, what would you translate for a British person as an American person to hopefully understand us a little better?
That is a good question. What a closer.
I love that there's like pigeon right here.
Yep. Interested in our conversation, I see.
The pigeons are so huge here. I'm not sure if it'll show up on camera because I think it's cropped right here, but this like turkey-sized friggin' pigeon just came by wobbling.
I would say if you see an American being loud, don't always assume that we pay no attention to our surroundings. Sometimes we're just excited. Sometimes we're just that excited.
I agree. I think that is one that gets said a lot, that we're loud, but it is just because we're excited by trains, subways, the boats, the bridges. We're just really happy to be here.
That's exactly what we were saying. I mean, if you're anything like us, we're very happy to be here. It's very true.
It's really hard not to be. So where can everybody find you if they haven't already, crossing over?
Red Buster Us, all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
All the same.
All
And
the same.
You should do a video showing them how to make deep dish.
You know, I should. If you guys are interested in that, let me know.
Yeah. Well, if you have any questions for us, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for coming out here and sitting in the heat wave with me.
Of course. It's been a blast.
Bye.
See ya.
If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and go over and follow Russ as well. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next one.